might have to let it drop. Let it drop.
Dang, well, you're looking pretty good in that flannel. Looking pretty good. Well, is it cold out there?
Man, it's freezing.
Listen, when I first saw you sit down today, I thought, here comes Debo. Like I thought we're in that flannel. Like if I had a chain, I'd be tucking it in. I don't have one. You know, my grandmama gave me that chain.
Yeah, I cannot.
First thing I thought of, I had a whole
This
lot of
little
that.
starting.
Yeah. No, we're just gonna sit back today. We're gonna shoot the shit. Nothing really crazy on the agenda. We got a couple talking points, but first things first, Will. You gonna be watching that USA versus Canada hockey game tomorrow? Battle of the Border.
I mean, it's a must. It's a must. I'm not the hugest hockey fan, as you know. I'm a sports fan, period. But
you're a fighting fan.
It's you know that. You know that. And it's always Team USA versus everybody. So yeah, I'm down. You know I'm gonna watch.
Listen, I'm officially fuck Canada. All right. When you boo my anthem, you got to get hands put on you. So I'm glad that the Kachuk brothers, a couple others went out there last week and just had to put belt to ass to them Canadians, those maple syrup eating motherfuckers last week, and just tune them up. So I'm ready for tomorrow too. Big game. I know we're not a hockey podcast. We're just, shooting the shit, seeing what's going on, letting some people get loaded in. It's lunchtime. Hopefully, whoever's joining us, I see the number growing up there a little bit. You guys hiding from your boss? Watch us with Detroit Den on your lunch break in the cafeteria. Let us know where you're at. But well, there was some. I don't know if I want to call it news. I guess I'll call it speculation. Let me bring it in here today. I'm sure you saw the Darius Slay stuff that's going around on the St. Brown Brothers podcast today. If I could find it, here it is. Let's do this. We'll let it play for a minute.
So this is your last year with the Eagles. How many more years you got left in your deal?
I got one more left, but you know what I'm saying. You know how that works. You know
one of them. Yeah.
Yeah. So whatever they want to do, I might re-sign back. Hopefully, if I ain't, then we'll see what we're doing. Because I do want to play one more year for sure, though.
1 more year, okay.
Yeah, 1 more year for sure.
You like Detroit? You said, huh?
Oh, I love Detroit. I got nothing but love. That's my second home. You know what I'm saying?
Okay,
That's my second home. I do a lot for the city still to this day. A lot of guys that's from Detroit that's in the league was all kind of like hang with me when they was little high school kids. That's what's the crazy part. A couple of my teammates, Monte Maddox, he trained with me when he was in high school. Sauce Gardner, boy, you don't like Jordan Will Lewis. Donovan Peoples-Jones, he was with me.
Okay, yeah.
So a lot of the guys, man, that I was in Detroit with, I was coming up. I used to have like little, hey, just meet me at this field. A lot of guys show up, and a lot of them guys are done. And
that's crazy.
With me. So I got a lot of love. Then I went to all the high school games, all the high school basketball games. I seen what's the little kid name? That's at Cleveland. That boy can hoop. I don't know how he not playing.
What position?
Monty Bay.
Oh yeah.
I used to watch him in high school go crazy. Like I was go about, and I ain't never seen them kids sell out the gym like he LeBron. Well, I swear to God, he sell out the whole college stadium. They'd be sold out. Just to see him. Yeah, he was nice though. So I did a lot for the city. So and that's why I got a lot of love though.
So shit, it sounds like you don't mind coming back.
I knew he was gonna try to recruit you. I knew.
I mean, this is what it sounded like. The nigga love the city. Like he did so much for it. Like nigga, last year, you already won the Super Bowl. Nigga, just come back.
Man, I love but you know what I'm saying? If it is, it is. It ain't. But for sure, the two spots I would love to always be at is Philly. Philly. The main two. The main ones I'd love to be at though.
Well, how's that make you feel? You think that there's a possibility we could see a Darius Slay reunion? Would you be okay with that?
Darius is still playing at a high level. That's all. That's all I really say about it. I got no problem with him coming back. I think he would probably still be in Detroit if it wasn't for the old pencil in the air, Buckeye guy. You know what I mean? So, yeah, man, I never had a problem with Slay. I know some people didn't like him. I always like Darius Slay. Big play Slay, as they say. Never had a problem with him. He's one of those guys that I was very happy to watch him get a ring, man. I was cheering for him on a personal level, but yeah, if he ended up in Detroit, man, I'd have no issue with it. You?
I'm 50-50. I don't love it. I don't hate it. I'd be okay with it. I think if Darius Slay came to Detroit and we could re-sign Carlton Davis. I think we'd sure up those 2 corner positions, and then you can do pretty much whatever you wanted with Terrion Arnold. How do you feel about Terrion moving to slot or nickel? You think that'd be a fit for him? Because I know you're all about a Meek. I know we got to get a Meek on the field too. So how would your formation look with Slay and possibly Carlton Davis, or would you just let Carlton Davis walk?
Listen, Meek Robertson is on the field. You already, but I don't think you sign both of them, man. It would have to be one or the other. And to be honest, I love Slay's game, and he's available. Carlton Davis is banged up a lot, man. He's always got something going on, it seems like. So I don't know, man. If we had either one of them, I'd be okay. I'd also be okay with DJ Reed. That's somebody I told you I'm big on. I'm hoping that the damage is already done, and Coach Glenn can work his sauce with DJ and get him to come back to the Jets, man. Because I'd be okay with DJ. I know you mentioned maybe not liking 2 undersized corners on the outside. I still don't think it would be 2 undersized on the outside. I think one will go ahead and play that slot, and then the other one play the outside. But Terrion would be the other one. But I don't know that Terrion gets booted out of his position, man. I think Terrion's going to take a step forward. I know a lot of people have hammered me about my takes on Terrion because there's a group of people that are out there. Some of you guys might be in the chat that feel this way. So let's talk about it. That's why we're here. I don't think Terrion's trash. I think Terrion needs to work on his finish. But it's not too many times that I'm seeing Terrion just get roasted. You know what I mean? But when that ball is at his catch point is when a lot of times he gets that PI, he gets a little grabby, he panics. That's fixable. Now, my worry about Terrion is he doesn't get a lot of interceptions historically coming from college and so far in the NFL. So when you talk about superstar, you got to be getting your hands on that football. So I haven't seen superstar Terrion Arnold yet, but I think that he's going to be a solid starter in the NFL. How you feel about it?
I think Terrion Arnold. Yeah, I think Terrion Arnold just needs some time. Corner's a tough position to play. All right, when you're going against college, and I know he went to Alabama, so he saw quite a bit of talent with who he was going against. But the NFL is just different. All right, everyone's elite. Like the worst receiver in the league is still a good receiver. I think Terrion just had especially in the beginning of the year. I think he had some of those rookie bumps during the middle of the season, end of the season. I thought he played fine. I think everyone's biggest complaint was the pass interference calls. Well, when Aaron Glenn's defense is designed for one-on-one corners to be on an island and be shut down, and he's going against these receivers that are, they were a step above him because it's his rookie season, so he's going to have to learn. I think he was outclassed a couple times, but for the most part, he held his own. And when the ball's in the air and it's coming down, that's when he got a little handsy, and you might be able to get away with that in college, but in the NFL, you can't play defense. So you got to be elite with your positioning. It's tough, man. I give Terrion Arnold a hell of a break because I think he played good. I think he got a bad rap early because the first couple games of the season, he was really getting picked on.
Yeah. In the chat, guys, how you feel about Terrion? Is he going to be a superstar? Is he going to be trash? Is he going to be somewhere in between? How you guys feeling about him? I'm interested because I see a lot of people on Twitter being like talking about, man, Terrion's trash. He's this, he's that. What else you got, Steve?
I'll let you answer this one. Well, we got our first question of the day here. Do you think if we get a good D tackle and I think that's supposed to say end or edge rusher, I'm assuming you're talking about, will Terrion and we'll get a few picks next year? How do you think that's going to go?
Yeah, so if we get a good DN and a good DT, will Terrion get some more picks? I will give Terrion a break, and I'll say this: playing man-to-man coverage as a corner, you're not going to get as many interceptions. Zone corners get a lot of interceptions. But I do think he'll have more opportunities to get some pass breakups because if we up that clock or the quarterback has to get it out a lot quicker, throw it in the coverage a little bit more. Yeah, I think he'll get some more pass breakups. Interceptions are tough, man. I don't know what Coach Shep is going to do. I know he also had, I spoke to Coach Morton having an interview with Dan Miller from Fox. Coach Shep had the same thing, and he talked about his defense being ferocious, tenacious, super aggressive, relentless type of defense. I would imagine that leads to me thinking he's probably going to play some man-to-man too, especially being Coach Glenn's understudy. If you're playing a lot of man, it's hard to get interceptions. But I will say this. I think he does take a step forward, a big step forward, and he gets into a situation to where you don't see him panicking at the end of plays anymore. And if he just does that alone, I think he'll have the opportunity to make some more plays. But I think the difference between Terrion, Steve, and let me know how you feel, and let me know how you guys feel about it. The difference between Terrion and a guy like Amik Robertson is this. You see Amik Robertson jumping them routes, aggressively jumping routes, getting his hands on footballs, even though he didn't have the amount of interceptions that I would have liked to saw. He had a couple interception drops on balls that he was jumping on routes he was jumping. So I haven't seen a lot of Terrion Arnold jumping routes, man. I would like to see more of that from him.
I only really remember one. I think it was against Minnesota for both of them. I know Amik Robertson dropped one in the end zone where he made a good jump on Justin Jefferson, and just I told you I got to have that. You know, that's got to be a pick. That's got to be our ball. I'm pretty sure it was against Minnesota where Terrion Arnold kind of jumped an out route and he kind of dove to try to catch it, and the ball just hit the ground. He was in a great position, but didn't make the play. And I don't get worked up about interceptions. Like you said, that's more of a zone coverage thing. We don't play a lot of zone coverage. So your eyes are constantly not on the quarterback when you're playing zone. You know, you're not playing man to man where you just are focused on that one guy. It's a lot harder. So I don't really care about interceptions. It's a cute stat. It's fun. You know, I've been calling for a pick six or a scoop and score at home all season and it never happened. But yeah, I don't care. I'd like to see him just be making these quarterbacks force the football into very, very small windows. And I think he started to do that toward the end of the season.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. I think too, when I watched film on Terrion in the first half of the season, one of the things that I really liked about him is his anticipation of routes. And I think you have to have that if you're a 4-5 guy, because he's not one of these 4-4, 4-3 guys. He has to have his technique on point to be able to compete with these guys that are running these 4-2s and 4-3s, these receivers that you're not allowed to put your hands on. And, you know, you're up against it with the speed anyways. And then if you get beat, that catch-up speed isn't there. So the fact that he is with his guy stride for stride most of the time, and he's a 4-5 guy, lets me know that his technique is on point, his anticipation is on point. He's got the footwork and the skills to be able to compete, man. But I don't know. Superstar is what I'm looking for, man. I'm looking for stars. I'm looking for those Brian Branches, those Kirby Josephs, those. Let's get an interception and hit a flip afterwards. You know what I mean? Let's have some fun with it.
64 days until the NFL draft. 64. I just looked it up. I was like, man, it feels like it's 100 days away, but it's really only 2 more months. So we're going to start diving into some prospects. We've gotten some guys, some comments that have been left that have dropped some names that I'm really interested in, and we're not going to do a full draft show yet today. But is there anyone in this NFL draft that you're absolutely staying away from, absolutely not interested in, Will?
Every quarterback in the draft.
Well, I mean, yeah, I asked a question. I guess you answered it, so I have to allow.
But let me say this too. Even field where you're going with it. No, I know we don't need a quarterback, but I think there is a potential, and maybe I'm giving us some sauce on a future show. I think there is some potential that we could need a quarterback if, and this is something, guys, I want you to think about this in the chat. And Steve, I haven't hit you with this yet. I talked about it a little bit, but I haven't really hit you with it. If Aaron Glenn does not go after Hendon Hooker, does that make you think, what is Hendon Hooker? Because now we're even, from when I mentioned it before, we're even further along. Because he said, listen, Aaron, bye-bye. I don't like really any of these quarterbacks in the draft. I don't love them. Like, if I was a team that really needed a quarterback, I'm not like, oh my God, Cam Ward, problem solved. Shador Sanders, problem solved. The list goes on. Jackson Dart, whoever you want to go to next. But none of those quarterbacks. Yeah, right. So none of those. Where do you go? UNLV. He's gonna be nice at UNLV. Watch out.
He's not. He's gonna be a nice. He's gonna be a nice linebacker. That's what they got.
They got that RPO run game, man. He's gonna run the heck out of the ball. He's gonna rush for 1,000.
What's the P stand for in RPO?
What do you mean? What's the P? Pass.
That's what he can't do is pass. So it's really just a run option because he can't do the P performance letter of that RPO.
Let me tell you something. This dude has a cannon. We just don't know where that football's going. Yeah. You know what I mean? But
I can throw with my dick better than he can with his right hand. Will, that's just a fact.
Yeah, you must got a cannon, man.
I do.
So we won't go there. But in all seriousness, for me, I'm waiting to see what Aaron Glenn does, man. I think there could be some type of draft day situation going on because Aaron Glenn has to either go get a guy. You know he's not going to bring Sam Darnold back. He's not doing that.
Sam Darnold doesn't want to go to New York again either.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not so. What is he about to do with the quarterback position? Is he going to try to go after Justin Fields? I'm hearing the Pittsburgh Steelers are trying to bring Justin Fields. So if he doesn't have a strong interest, keeping it Lions related, if he doesn't have a strong interest in Hendon Hooker after he's just watched everything Hendon Hooker, that's going to tell me something. Like that Hendon's probably a guy that is probably not going to be the guy for anybody. If Aaron Glenn doesn't want anything to do with them. Now, if Hendon Hooker is a dude, right, that Aaron Glenn's been looking at and seeing, draft day trade maybe, because he's not in really striking distance to get any of those guys that I just named. So, what are we gonna do? Could it be a draft day trade? Aaron Glenn doing business with Brad, trying to go get his quarterback of the future. You know, maybe we'll see something. What you think, Steve? You think it's a possibility?
William, if I'm up in my office right now. If I were to open up this window shade, I could look out in my front yard and see the cross that people were ready to nail me to when I said I was unsure about Hendon Hooker a couple years ago. I just don't know. We don't know what he is. We haven't seen him. Preseason, it's fun. You know, I think the hype about preseason is everyone's just ready for real football. So any dose we can get of that is just going to be blown wildly out of proportion. I think that's what a lot of us did, myself included. I'm guilty. I was so excited for football. I was dying for it. I was ready for anything. Hendon Hooker, as long as he didn't really turn the ball over, I was like, man, like this dude looks good. But we really didn't get a chance to see real Hendon Hooker. We didn't really get a chance to see him in the regular season either because Jared Goff never went down, and we don't want that to happen. We never really ran into a position until not the NFC Championship game. We didn't make it that far. Divisional round against Washington when Jared Goff went out with a concussion, and we knew Teddy Bridgewater was coming in because we were at that game. We saw the inactives put on the Jumbotron. We saw that Hendon Hooker was the emergency quarterback. That was the time where I said, they trust Teddy Bridgewater, who just came off the couch coaching high school football 3 weeks ago. They trust him not playing NFL or being in any meetings this whole season. They trust him more than Hendon Hooker, who's been in every meeting the last 2 years, every practice the last 1 year. They trust Teddy Bridgewater more than Hendon Hooker. So I still got that cross outside. Well, a lot of people were ready to kill me, and they were saying, Hendon Hooker, man, he was a Heisman finalist before he tore his knee. And I said, college talent doesn't always translate to the NFL. So if Aaron Glenn, and you're right, if Aaron Glenn, who is in need of a quarterback, has no interest in a guy he's practiced against the last 2 years, should tell you a little something, because I think Hendon Hooker should be available in a trade. But if he doesn't have talent, the New York Jets are not going to give up a draft piece to go get him. They'll go with a Kirk Cousins or Justin Fields or maybe a Russell Wilson. I don't know. They'll get that bridge quarterback for 1 or 2 years until they can draft someone. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, man. I agree, man. And that's why I got my popcorn ready, and I'm waiting to see what Coach Glenn does, man, with Hendon, man. If there's any interest, if there's any phone calls made, if the rumor mill gets talking as this draft gets closer. But something that I do disagree with is the quarterback situation in the playoff game. I think it just bottom line, it just boiled down to this. If Jared Goff got hurt in that playoff game, who do you want to throw into that fire? Do you want a guy that's been tried and true in the fire, you know, to come in and relieve your guy Jared Goff in that playoff moment, or do you want to throw Hendon Hooker out there for the first time? And I think Coach Campbell kind of spoke to it a little bit earlier in the season when he said, hey, listen, if Jared Goff goes down, Hendon's going to be the guy to take this thing over in the regular season. But in a moment where you just need a guy to put a Band-Aid on it and get you to the next round, I think that's what they were saying when they went with Teddy Bridgewater, a guy who knew the system, who had already been in the system before, knew the offense already, a guy that was kind of plug and play. He had a couple of weeks under his belt just trying to get situated, and it makes sense to me. Like, I'm not panicked about that, but it will put me into a panic if Coach Glenn does not have any interest in Hendon. If he don't have any interest in Hendon, that will put me in, I don't want to say a panic, but that will put me into a, listen, guys, Hendon isn't what we think. Let's go get us a quarterback. Now, if after draft day, there's no interest in Hendon from Coach Glenn, and Coach Glenn doesn't make a splashy move, doesn't even have to be splashy, but he doesn't go get a veteran quarterback. Like, let's say Coach Glenn drafts somebody like Jackson Dart, and he says, man, I'd rather go with Jackson Dart then try to make a move on a Hendon Hooker, then that's gonna tell me something, man. So not to beat it up, man, but that's kind of where I'm sitting with it. I know we got a lot of people that are either completely one side of the fence or other. Hendon's trash or Hendon's the next thing to slice bread, and we should start him at the beginning of next season. So, guys, drop it in the chat. How you feeling, Steve? I got a question for you.
Go ahead.
Unless you had something further.
I did, but go ahead. We can get to mine in a minute. It's not relevant to what we're talking right now.
So my question is this: do you have? You don't gotta say it, but do you have somebody in this draft? And I know we've talked about we got a deep prospect list. Do you have somebody in this draft not named Mason Graham that, because we've said it over the last couple of years, that you really, really need the Detroit Lions to leave the draft with in your mind? Set in your mind already. Because I remember the last couple of years, we had a couple of guys. It was Devon Witherspoon, Brian Branch. We talked about
Jack Campbell.
Brady. Yeah, Jack Campbell. We talked about last year, Braden Fisk, Jared Verse were guys we were super high on. Like, is there a guy in this draft that you're like, man, the Lions need this guy on their team?
Somebody?
Yeah, somebody in your mind. In any round. It doesn't have to be. It could be a later round guy. It could be. Is there a guy they're just like, gotta have him? Not named Mason Graham. I know you want Mason Graham. I like Mason Graham as well, but
I don't have somebody. I have somebodies. I have several. But if I had to say just one, the other day we were talking, I think we were doing one of our prospect shows, and I said I wasn't attached to anyone yet. I said I'm going into this offseason, this draft process as a free agent. No one's really locked on to Steve Perkins where I have to have him just yet. I think I lied, Will, because one, unrealistic kind of to an extent at pick 29 or 28 is unrealistic is Mason Graham. Yeah. He's not going to fall to 28. We know that. But your scenario that you threw out the other day where
wait, not to cut you off, but you think he's not going to fall to 28 even though he yelled and screamed at my son at the Michigan game?
He should.
Even though
he should. He's a bully. He's a bully, but he bullies offensive linemen too well for me to rule him out. He's probably my number one, but not realistic at pick 28. But like you said a couple of days ago when we were talking, I can't remember who we were even talking about, but you threw out a scenario where someone falls in the NFL draft every year. We're used to hearing it every time we do a prospect show. If I had $1 for every time I heard, there's no way he's going to be available. We get it. All right. It's a crapshoot. We don't know who's going to fall, but someone is. That's just a matter of fact. If it's Mason Graham, small chance that it is, and he falls to somewhere around pick 12 to 15, and Brad Holmes looks at that as a position where he can move up and get him, I'm on board. But when I'm looking at pick 28, someone who might be realistic that I love, that if we sprinted to the podium and got this player, I'm doing cartwheels in the front yard. This is almost as close to Aiden Hutchinson happiness that it's going to get right now. Okay. And that's Mike Green of Marshall. All right. We haven't fully dove in. And what pisses me off more than anything else in the world is that he went to the Senior Bowl and had that highlight play where he absolutely trucked an offensive lineman, just disrespected him. I think that kid's in hiding now. He's in the Secret Service, got him, and they put him in protective custody. He can't be seen around campus for a while. But I said, well, we're fucked. We're not going to get him now because of one clip. But I liked Mike Green way before that. I look at his production. People get a little concerned because he played at Marshall, a small school. When you look at his athleticism, his production, his arsenal of pass rush moves, him on the opposite side of Aiden Hutchinson, I'm not going to do a full dive because we still have to talk about him on a prospect profile. I got some highlights. I got some clips. It's going to blow some people's minds. Yeah. But Mike Green is probably my Jared Verse from last year. And Jared Verse ended up winning Defensive Rookie of the Year. So Steve Perkins has an eye for talent, Will.
Oh, Lord, here we go.
Here, like Scouting Steve. That's what they used to call me back in the day. Like, you just give me a set of binoculars, a clipboard, a stopwatch. I'm just out there scouting. Like, I see some little kids running up and down the street. I'm timing them. Like, what are we looking at here? Like 10 years from now, are we looking at a kid? Like, can I get some pads on him? I got to see, like, can he do a rip move? Just always scouting.
Oh, gosh. Unreal. Anyways, Craig, man. Craig, you put a good one in here. It's not the guy that I'm going with, but he is on my list. So I'm going to shout you out, Craig. Listen, do you guys think, or what do you guys think of Jordan Birchman from Oregon? So listen, everybody wants to talk about Harmon, the DT, right, from Oregon. Jordan Birch is nasty,
That's on my
athletic.
list.
Just a guy. If you've seen the fake punt that he had, where he looked like a running back, he kind of reminded me of like a mixture of Gibbs and Derrick Henry. Maybe we just put him at running. I'm joking. For people start going crazy. I'm joking. But if you did see the fake punt, it was fun. And he is a freak athlete. He's a guy that's on my list of guys. Yeah, second round guy. I think that he could go to the combine, test out of this world, and be a guy that maybe jumps up the draft board as well. Definitely a guy that I have my eyes on, but a late round guy that needs to be playing for the Detroit Lions. All right, I'm gonna give you guys some sauce. We're gonna do a show for him, but we got to reward you guys for being in alive. The guy that I'm drooling over, Josiah Stewart. Twitched up.
Where's he go to school? Never heard of him. Yeah, if you're gonna say his name, can you at least call him national champion Josiah Stewart?
Listen, gotta put some respect on his name. I apologize again. But listen, you didn't say that for Mason Graham. But anyways, Josiah Stewart is twitched up, and he's twitched up, and he's a guy that could be there in the third round because he's undersized. I would love to see that dude. Just putting him in all different types of packages. Maybe we can have him play that Sam position that we like. I can't wait to see what he runs in the 40. Things could get exciting with a guy like that. And then the guys that we already have that are twitched up, like Mekhi Wingo, if we get a bigger edge, some bigger edge guys, we can go with a big boy line, maybe have some Mekhi Wingo play a little bit of the edge position, man, in certain situations and get some speed out there. I'm just excited, man. I told you I want to get more athletic, and Josiah Stewart, I feel like it's a guy that we can get later on. Man, you start adding guys like Jordan Birches and Josiah Stewart's, like just getting this D-line beefed up and athletic. I think it gets fun, man. It gets fun.
I just don't know when he goes. Like, I like him. I like his tape. He's productive. Led Michigan in sacks last year on a very good defense. It's just a matter of when I'm comfortable with him. I don't know if I'm fully comfortable in round 2, but I don't know if he's going to be there in round 3 when we pick. So something might have to happen for me personally between pick 60 and pick 101, I think is where he's going to go. I'm not comfortable in round 2 with him. I think there's better talent out there, but we'll see what he does. His tape's out there. He's got phenomenal tape. You're not going to find anything bad. So if he goes to the combine and justifies that with a good workout, I don't think we're going to have any question. But real quick, if you guys are new here, hit that subscribe button. Please, 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 please. It takes a millisecond. Why do I ask? Because I have a brand new Detroit Lions blacked out Aiden Hutchinson jersey that one of our Twitter followers gave us. I had a guy hit me up on Twitter. He asked to remain anonymous, or I would share the screenshot here. He said, hey, I want to give you guys a jersey to give away. How do I go about that? I said, well, the only thing I can really think of is Venmo me. Whatever you're comfortable with, I will go out, get a jersey. So we got a blacked out Aiden Hutchinson jersey right here in my closet. Once we hit 10,000 subscribers, that bad boy's going away to someone. Also have a $100 gift card to Rally House. Can be used at any Rally House in Michigan or even online. You got one too?
Yeah, I got 2 gift cards that go to Fanatics, not the Fanatic U that was doing us dirty.
They duped us.
Fanatic. Yeah, but we got same thing. 2 donated Fanatics gift cards for $100. That's from a member as well that wanted to remain anonymous. Plus whatever we decide to do on top of that at 10,000. So yeah, it's gonna be a big deal, man.
So we're close. Let me just hit the refresh button here. We're about 352 subscribers away. It's not a crazy number. All right, we're knocking on the door. Once we hit 10K, we're going to give away close to about $600 worth of stuff, maybe a little bit more. Maybe if we're feeling generous, we get our hands on another jersey, we'll give that away too. So while you guys are sitting here watching on your lunch break or hiding from your boss, just hit that subscribe button. It only really takes a second.
I think we're talking about
Mike Green.
Wrong one. Yeah, no, wrong one. I apologize, Michelle. Wrong one. There we go. Nick Scorton, man, Texas A&M.
I'm surprised someone remembered this.
Yeah.
This was back from when I was on vacation a couple of months ago. Will did me dirty. Craig, don't think for a second I forgot.
Yeah, dog, Craig. Let's go.
Do not think for 1 second that I don't lay my head on a pillow at night wondering how I'm going to get back. I'm not going to say I haven't messaged Mama Ford for a little help. Will I'm not going to say I haven't. Yeah.
Let me see if she's in there. Hey, Mom, if you're in here, you know where your loyalties better lie.
Lines have been drawn in the sand. Listen, pick what side.
That,
If you want to be on the winning team, Mrs. Ford, you know what side to be on.
Hey, Mom, that in-home carrier you're going to need in about another 20 years. Hopefully in about another 20. But, hey, listen.
See, that's the difference, Will. That's the difference because Mama Ford could come stay with me anytime. She don't need in-home care. All right.
See what I'm saying? Hey, listen, Mom. You know.
I'm a salesman.
You ring that bell.
I'll sell ice to an Eskimo. Mama Ford be staying in my.
And don't make them that spaghetti either. Anyways,
listen, I'm a sucker for spaghetti. I had to cut out carbs. We're going on a diet here. I'm dying. No carbs, no pastas, no pizzas, no pops. It's slim pickings in the Perkins household. So if Mama Ford showed up with some spaghetti, I'd probably have to cave. Back on topic, draft day, draft topics, draft questions. Someone on our show last night, let me pull it up, asked a question. If I could find it, I can't remember exactly what it was.
Well, while you're looking for it, I'll say this, and when you take it back when you find it. Guys, we're getting these prospect shows ready. We got a couple loaded up already, but tell us the prospects that you want to see, and we'll do them. We'll do them if we get enough people, even if it's a guy that we really don't feel like we're high on. If enough people put them in the comments that they want to hear about them, we'll talk about them. So, Steve, back to you, man. My bad.
Fan question from Jason McQueen 1017 from yesterday, last night's show, just asking what would be a better fit / deal for the Detroit Lions, Khalil Mack and Josh Sweat, or Myles Garrett, as far as price and impact on the D line. And I'll kind of spin it and think and say, do you think that the Detroit Lions pull off a draft day blockbuster? Yeah,
man,
in there.
That is a lot to dig in. So would I rather have Khalil Mack and Josh Sweat or Myles Garrett starting there? For the sacrifices that I had to make, I'd rather have Khalil Mack and Josh Sweat. I know that probably sounds crazy, and you guys are probably already in the chat about to kill me. But the reason why I'll say that is this: if somehow I signed Khalil Mack to a 1-year deal, and then he's off the books the following year, I'm not worried about that. And then I got Josh Sweat to probably a 3-year deal. I feel comfortable with that because I still have my first round draft now. If I got Myles Garrett, then I know I gave up multiple first round draft picks. So if you're telling me that I could secure a Josh Sweat and a Khalil Mack going into next season, and I also secured a guy, well, 2 players for the next 5 years, then that's gonna be essentially 9 years worth of taking the 1 year away because the following first round draft pick isn't going to get drafted until the following season. But that would be 9 more years of production that I'm getting, right? Instead of getting Myles Garrett on a 2-year rental and then having to re-sign him right when I'm having to re-sign Aiden Hutchinson to an extension. I'd rather have those 2 pieces that help my D line out. Also draft whoever I want to draft at pick 28 or trade up to a higher slot if there's somebody that I'm super high on, and then pick the pick 32 because we win the Super Bowl the following year. So for me, I would rather have Khalil Mack, Josh Sweat, then my 2 following first round draft picks rather than lose those draft picks, man, and then just insert Myles Garrett because, again, as I said before, if Myles Garrett or Aiden Hutchinson gets hurt now, I'm back into that same boat that I was before. So, Steve, where you at with it? How you feel?
I'm all about Josh Sweat. Problem is the thing him saying that, he's willing to take less money to stay with Philly. So is he even going to really be a free agent? I don't know. Yeah. Myles Garrett, we've spoken our piece about Myles Garrett. He's a Hall of Famer. He should have been probably, in my opinion, the defensive player of the year. He's still got a lot of juice left in the tank, but when it comes to the Lions, we're going to have to give up multiple draft picks to get him. All right. Yeah. He would feed our defensive line, him and Hutch and McNeil when he comes back healthy for the next 2-3 seasons. I get it. Is he most likely a better player than what you're going to get in the first two rounds the next coming years? Probably. I mean, the odds are on Myles Garrett's side that he's going to be the best player at pick 28 or pick 32 next year. You're probably not going to get anyone better. But I think we need more than just a Myles Garrett. All right. My whole offseason motto has been waves of pass rushers. If you can sign a Josh Sweat in free agency and keep your first round draft pick and get hopefully maybe a Mike Green to come in as a rookie and come in on third downs and just be an exclusive pass rusher for his first season until he figures out how to really stop the run and set edges and that kind of stuff, I'd love it. If in the second round you could go out and get, I'm not going to name drop. I already got a couple guys I'm interested in the second round, but there's a couple kids out there that I really like in the second round too who can do the same thing. So if I can not have a Myles Garrett, but I can get two guys who can do Myles Garrett production together, I think that's puts more of a stress on an offense than just one guy, and you're trying to block 2, 3, possibly even 4, and that starts to become not just unlikely but almost impossible.
Yeah, no, I like it, man. I like it. I'm excited, man, to see what goes on, man. Because now, Steve, did you hear this? And I'm probably gonna pee in some people's cornflakes when I say this, but did you hear that the Detroit Lions made contact with the Cleveland Browns on Myles Garrett to see? Did you see that?
Yeah, I assume all 30 other teams did as well. So
that's what I'm saying. Like, if you hear Myles Garrett is available, you gotta call and see what the price is. Like, just because we made contact doesn't mean we're in aggressive negotiations. Now, if that tweet comes across that we're in aggressive negotiations or the Lions are talking, kind of like if you remember Darius Smith. Hey, listen, Adam Schefter is breaking it. Hey, the Detroit Lions are in talks with the Cleveland Browns about acquiring Darius Smith. Right? Okay, now we're gonna be okay. Now what's going on? But every team called to see when he wrote the letter. Them phones were ringing off of the hook. Like, hey, what's going on? Hey, you guys gonna do it? What's up? What do you need? Or if you wanted to, what would the price be? So I don't know, man. I'm interested to see how this thing unfolds. I think draft day is gonna be probably around when it happens. It'll either be slightly before or on draft day. I think when people start to see, hey, man, I'm not gonna be able to get that quarterback, or the free agents have kind of landed where they needed to land. So now I'm the odd person out that didn't get my quarterback or the person that I needed. Now I got to start making some moves. But I'm interested to see what the Lions do.
Yeah, I would assume like the Titans called, like everyone called. Like when that report came out, I was just kind of like, I would expect Brad Holmes to do his job and inquire about one of the best pass rushers available. That would be negligent if he hadn't. So yeah, I'm glad that it's at least out there that he called, but every team in the league has done that.
Hey, I like Newsome. I like Newsome a lot, Craig. He's a dog. Oops. Did that. Yeah, man. I'm excited for this draft, man. There's so many guys, man, but Josiah Stewart, man, is that guy, man. He's that guy that I like, man, that I'm drooling over and I'm oogling over a little bit.
So you're number one?
I can't say he's my number one because my number one's got to be the top player on my board, but he's a guy that at value, I think he's a guy that could be one of those guys that you're trying to figure out why he's good. Like, man, this dude's undersized. His arms are short. He shouldn't be able to do the things that he does, but nope, he did it in college and now he's doing it in the NFL. Nope, this dude is actually good. Sometimes it doesn't matter if you have the wingspan. It doesn't matter if you have the get off. It doesn't matter if you're tall, you know what I mean? So yeah, I think he's going to be one of those guys that produces, even though he doesn't fit the description of the build of a edge guy.
He kind of reminds me of a Nolan Smith from last year, just kind of that in-betweener, like not at the end, maybe not a linebacker, but he's got speed. And I don't know exactly I'm not saying Josiah Stewart's going to go out and run what did Nolan Smith run, like a 4.3 or something crazy like that. So I don't think Josiah Stewart's going to do that. He could, it wouldn't shock me, but I probably wouldn't bet on it. But if he does, I think he'll start flying up some draft boards because teams can use a Swiss Army knife like him to get after a passer. And if that's what we're looking for, some speed and athleticism, Josiah Stewart checks a lot of boxes. Hometown kid, national champion, knows how to prepare for big games, comes from a good program, productive, available. He checks a lot of boxes.
Yeah, and Craig just put a good question. He said, could he be a good Sam? I'm interested to see what the Detroit Lions do defensively. Is it going to be the same thing, and we're going to be looking for another one of these Sam guys? I liked what Derek Barnes was doing in that role. I think it could be an upgrade to it, though, if somebody could, cover a little bit better and offer a little bit more in that pass rush. But I don't know, man. I think he has the athleticism. I'm interested to see what he runs at the combine. Is he going to be one of those guys that runs a 4.6, 4.7, or is he going to be in that crazy 4.4? If he runs a 4.4, he's going to earn himself some money, Steve. Some money. But he looks explosive. He looks twitchy. He looks faster and quicker than everybody else when you watch him, man. Play in and play out, man. So, Steve, I got a question. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Nope, you go ahead. I was just reading a comment.
I was just going to ask you because somebody put it in the comments earlier. And I know a lot of people like this guy, and I know we're going to do a show on him. So I don't want to, you don't got to go too long, but Jahad Campbell, man, out of Alabama, our farm system for getting players, man. Is that somebody that you like? Is that somebody that you could potentially see as a Detroit Lion? Because his name's been getting dropped a lot in the chat, in the comments. How you feel about him?
My interest levels are very, very high. Haven't fully dove into his film, but what interests me is a defensive end who converted to a linebacker, and he played both positions very well. Nick Saban saw something, and I know that he's not the coach the past year, but Nick Saban recruited him, and he moved while he was the coach. So I'm interested to see some more film, but I'm interested in a guy who could play multiple positions because that's a Brad Holmes thing. You know, he drafted Brian Branch. Is he a safety? Is he a corner? Is he a nickel? He drafted Jahmyr Gibbs. Is he a scat back? Is he a every down back? Is he a receiving back? Drafts these guys that could do multiple things. I think Jahad Campbell in the first round is probably one of a couple of people who you can say that about. A defensive end and a linebacker, it interests me, but what would his position on the Detroit Lions be? What would he be doing? Whose job's he taking? Who's he taking over for us? A lot of questions we're going to have to talk about.
Yeah, I think he plays Sam for the Lions, and he'd be one of those guys where you could either just do that formation of where we got 4D linemen and he plays Sam backer still, but he's up on the line of scrimmage, or you could do it where he's one of the 4D linemen, man, and he plays the edge too. Like we got to see. It remains to be seen how good of an edge that can he be. Can he play edge on certain situations, and then at the same time be a Sam backer in certain situations? That's what I want to see. I will say this, and I don't want to give too much away because I know we'll probably do a prospect show on him. I watched the Georgia game, and it was interesting to what he was doing out there. I will say that. I won't elaborate. I'll let some of you guys go and watch that Georgia versus Bama game. I will say that they were moving him around. He was playing interior linebacker. He was bumping out the outside linebacker. He was playing the edge. They moved him all around. So I like the versatility of snaps, and but watching the film, it was interesting to see what he was doing out there. So it'll be part of our prospect show. So guys that are putting it in the comments, we are going to talk about him.
I like this question here. What are your thoughts on trading back from 28 or trading up into the top 15? I know these mocks will change a lot after the combine, but curious to know your opinions. Listen, I love the draft. All right. It's hard. I back in the day, I take the whole draft day off. I take the day after off. I love the draft. I love staying up till 2 a.m. and watching all the breakdowns. I like that the Detroit Lions have a first round pick. It would suck if we didn't have one because it's for entertainment, but for the team purposes, I can understand Brad Holmes trading back. We do this every season, trade back, trade up. But if we're talking trading up into the top 15, similar to what we did to get Jamison Williams a couple years ago, going from 32 to 12, moving up 20 spots and not having to give up a future first round, I think I like that route more if we can find a team who's a sucker enough to do it. Because like we said a little bit ago, if Graham's there or Mike Green's there at 13, 14, 15, God, please God, let both of them be available. I'm going to be waiting for Brad to get on the phone if both of those guys are there between 12 and 15. How do you feel, Will?
I think there's a handful of guys that are trade up worthy. I take that back. I think there's a few guys that are trade up worthy. If for some reason there's some of these edge guys have freak days at the combine and they just shoot up the draft. If a guy like we were just talking about, Jahad Campbell, goes and runs a 4.4 or something crazy and shoots up the draft, then maybe you see a guy like a Mason Graham slip into pick 10, 11, or 12, and you trade up and go make that selection, right? You mentioned Mike Green. I like Nick Scorton. Another guy we've done already is Shamar Stewart. Some of these guys that are freak athletes, that are dang near 300 pounds, that can run and they're agile. There's a couple of dudes that I like. But to me, outside of those handful of guys, I think it's a trade back draft. I truly do. I think that you got guys that are like Landon Jackson. Landon Jackson is a guy that I see that could slip out of the first round and be a top of the second round guy. You 6'7", 270 or something like that. He's gonna be a good football player in the NFL. Now, what is the difference between maybe getting him or getting another one of these edge rushers? What's the difference between a guy that they just mentioned, getting a guy like Jordan Birch, or getting another one of these edge rushers not named Mike Green, in the top half of this draft? So I think that you're going to get to a point where after pick 15 or 16, a lot of these guys are going to be splitting hairs, or it's going to be contingent on what you like. Are you a speed guy? Are you a power guy? What are you looking for? And if it fits, or if you see some guys similar, maybe one of these teams that want to get an offensive guy, or they're looking at one of these linemen and they want to jump in and get that guy, maybe you trade back and you get some extra assets, because if you get an extra second rounder, extra third rounder, an extra fourth rounder, I think that value's there. Maybe you added Josiah Stewart to your draft haul because you got an extra third round pick. You know what I mean? So I think there's some guys out there, and we got that guy from Boston College. I mean, we got guys, man, that are in this draft that are going to be second and third round that can help some teams out. So I think it's a trade back draft from what I see, unless you're going to go get somebody that's splashy.
All I'm going to say, Greg or George Lee, Ty Robinson's on my list. All right. I'm not spilling the beans too much, but I'm just going to say this. At 6'6", 310 pounds, not many people in this draft can do what he does. And I've watched his tape. He's probably someone we'll be talking about within the next week. If you haven't watched Nebraska versus USC and really broken down what he does while USC is trying to spread out the football and get some speed and space, as Josh Gaddis used to say, Ty Robinson can do a lot of things. He's not the most athletic, but at 6'6", 310 pounds, not many people are moving and doing the things he's doing. That's all I'm going to say. I like Ty Robinson. For me, it's about same thing. Like, I'm not comfortable round 2. Round 3, we could probably have a conversation. There's guys in the first 2 rounds where I'm very comfortable, and Ty Robinson doesn't fall into that category for me. But if we're using that Aaron Glenn pick in the 3rd round at 10, I think it's 101. I see a 6'6", 310-pound guy who played edge and defensive tackle in Nebraska against some spread option offenses. So he's very, very interesting to me, but not in the first 2 rounds. For sure not number 1.
Yeah.
I know Will hates him. Will hates anything from Nebraska, so he's the opposite of Will Compton. He's Will Ford.
Unbelievable. I like Scott Frost.
Nobody likes Scott Frost. Fraudulent 97 champions. Fraudulent, William. How dare you say you like Scott Frost? Fraudulent championship they hang out there in fucking Lincoln, Nebraska. Blasphemy for you to even say that after talking about all these Michigan men today.
Tommy Frazier?
Nah. Well, we're going to wrap the show up here, guys, in probably about 10 minutes. If you guys got any questions, fire it off. Again, hammer that subscribe button. We want to hit that 10K. We want to put some stuff in your guys' closets and pockets. Hit that subscribe button, fire off some questions.
Any shows you guys want to see coming up? Like I said, we got some prospect shows coming up. We are not going to talk about, I'm not, unless something happens, but we're not going to talk about the Max Crosbys and the Myles Garretts and the Trey Hendrickson and that's not in the plans for us.
People are hammering, like, I get on YouTube. I don't watch the shows, but I see what's going on with the Lions, and I see some other content creators that's just all they're talking, because I don't know. There's a lot of other things you could be talking, but until there's some meat on the bone and there's actually some rumors behind one of these trades, we're probably not going to talk Max Crosby or Myles Garrett or TJ Watt or Cooper Kupp. Like, there's got to be some stuff going on.
What do you think about this, Steve?
Kirby on the trade block? No, you got to get Kirby. You can't let the guy who should have been a little bit higher on defensive player of the year just just leave town. I mean, if he gets traded, it's because of money. It's not because of talent or trying to acquire anything. It's because they don't see him as the safety of the Detroit Lions for the next 5 to 7 years. But I personally don't think that's Brad's point of view, but he's going to be expensive. So if Brad's not comfortable paying him $18, $19 million, yeah, he might get traded, but I'd be a little upset if they let him just, go somewhere else. How do you feel? Well, I see that little smirk on your face and it makes me fucking nervous as hell, if I'm being honest with you.
I was just going to ask you, did you see what St. Brown said to him on the St. Brown podcast?
To Kirby?
Yeah.
I didn't know he was on the St. Brown podcast recently.
Yeah, he was on the St. Brown podcast, and St. Brown told him, he said, Kirby, do you realize that you play the easiest position on the field? It's the easiest position. And there was a little bit of argument and banter there, and they pretty much settled on him playing the easiest position when it came to the positions being played. So that led me to this question. Can we find another guy to play center field back there and not pay them tons of money is the real question. And I think what Kirby Joseph offers is special. Instinctually, he jumps some balls that I think some not a lot of safeties are going to jump. I think he brings his ex-receiver mentality back there to the back end, and I love that about him. But that bag is going to be steep. That bag is going to be steep. Yeah, so
it's going to weigh about 18 to 19 pounds, and that's a pound per million.
Yeah. So yeah, I do think we end up paying him, but if we didn't, I also don't think that it would be absolutely nuts, because you know who you are going to pay, and you better pay, is Brian Branch. You better pay him, and Brian Branch is different. Like, now listen, and that's coming out of Kirby Joseph's mouth. He said Brian Branch he said Brian Branch has done some things in camp that people haven't even saw. That's absolutely out of this world. He said he's seen him a couple of weeks at camp, and he was like, yeah, this dude's different. This dude's different. So when he's speaking like that at a guy, you already know how it goes, man. So yeah, I'm hoping that he gets paid. I'm hoping that we have a situation to where our secondary is secured, to where Brian Branch can go back there and play safety with them, and they can kind of do their thing. We have a different nickel, whether it's Ennis Rakestraw stepping it up, whether it's Amik Robertson going back to the nickel, and then CD comes back, But whatever the case may be, I would love to see Brian Branch get to play safety and not have to be forced back into that nickel position.
I'll say this. If we get a dominant pass rush, there's a kid in my neighborhood that I was talking to you about that I was scouting a couple weeks ago, Will, that I think could play center field for the Detroit Lions. Because if you got 3 or 4 guys who are getting after the passer, and I do think that St. Brown probably had a little, I didn't see the episode, I didn't watch it for myself, but based on what you told me, if you were to ask me what's the easiest position to play in football, it'd probably be safety. Okay. Because you're not involved in every single play. I'm trying to be nice, but Kirby's my guy. I like him. He's going to want a lot of money. If we're getting 2 elite pass rushers with Aiden Hutchinson and potentially someone we either sign in free agency or the draft, and you have a Lee McNeil, his position gets even easier. So are you going to pay a guy $18, $20 million to pretty much have a front row seat at watching football? Like, I'm section 139. Like, you could throw a couple bucks my way. I'll come out there and play center field and not have to do too much. Like, I don't think I have a lot of juice left in the tank, and it's not a matter of if, but when I get injured, like, it's, give me a seat on that bench over there, and I'll watch from there. Just as happy.
I'm envisioning Drake Greenlaw.
Buddy, now we're talking. No.
Yeah, I'm envisioning you as Drake Greenlaw.
Like, never even make it on the field. I'd get hurt in warm-ups without a doubt. Like, t-shirt and sweats. Like, I'm pulling something.
Trying to run off the sideline. God. Yeah, for sure.
Listen, my Army days are way behind me. All right, I literally like t-shirt and sweats. Like, if I get out of the chair too fast, I'm like, ugh, man, like something didn't feel right getting up there. There's absolutely no chance.
What we got? We got anything?
If we're playing Madden and you turn off them injuries, like, I'm good to go. Like, let's rock.
99 overall. We got Greenlaw's getting paid, buddy.
Dre Greenlaw?
Yeah, he had a year this year. He's getting paid.
He didn't play this year.
Yeah, when he got healthy, he came in at the end of the season.
He played, then they shut him right back down.
Yeah, but he's healthy now. That's what I'm saying. He came back from his Achilles at the end of the year. They just said that without him was like a huge hit to their defense. Like, if they don't pay him, then they keep him with Fred Warner, buddy. Yeah, because if you watch what he was doing in rehab.
Oh, we did a show about him. I told you he's probably my number 2 free agent wish, right behind Josh Sweat. That's not a Detroit Lion currently, because number 1 for the Detroit Lions for me is re-sign Kevin Zeitler. But if we're talking people who aren't on the team right now, it's Josh Sweat, Dre Greenlaw.
Yeah, I just don't want to pay him at that linebacker position, man. I don't want to pay him.
You don't want to pay top tier linebackers with crazy athleticism and can cover every position on a football field besides an X wide receiver, can lock down a tight end, a running back, a slot corner, can chase people down. You're just not into that type of thing, or like I don't know.
Like locking down slot receivers is kind of crazy. Tight end maybe, but let me see what we're looking at market value.
I mean, I get it if football is just not really your thing. Just
let's look at it. You're gonna pay him. You're gonna pay him $8 to $10 million.
I just paid $8 to $10 million for Marcus Davenport to not play football. So yeah, I pay that with a smile on my face.
Yeah, and that was a mistake.
Marcus Davenport is my measuring stick for free agency. So I'm going to use that reference every chance I get.
I don't think you can use that reference when you're talking about 1-year deals, though. Dre Greenlaw isn't going to sign a 1-year deal.
3 years, $30 million. Does he need me to take the check to the bank for him and cash it and run a couple errands? Like, what do we have to do here? Because it ain't my money. It ain't coming out of Steve Perkins. Trust me, Steve Perkins does not have $30 million in his bank account. Like, believe it or not, like this lavish lifestyle that you guys see from my office, it is not a $30 million lifestyle. Sheila's going to be paying it. So the question is Dre Greenlaw a top 5 linebacker in the league?
I can't say that either. Top 5? Or are you counting the hybrid guys too? Because like, are you going to say like the hybrid, edge guys, edge linebacker style guys, or
like a TJ Watt?
Yeah.
No, I'm not counting him in that category.
Okay, well then, yeah, maybe. I don't know, man. I don't know.
10. You gave Marcus Davenport $10 million.
I didn't want to give Marcus Davenport $10
to
million,
literally do what my water jug is doing. Not shit.
Listen, I get it, but that was something that we talked about. We talked about the potential of Marcus Davenport getting injured, and you've paid him this money. And he, whether it was on a dirty play or not, he ended up injured, and that was $10 million that could have went somewhere else. So if we're splitting hairs and going to the value menu, could we have spent that $10 million and used this through an extra $10 million on a contract that we brought in? You know what I mean? So instead of bringing in a dollar menu edge rusher, could we throw in an extra $10 million on Darius Smith's contract and turn it into Danielle Hunter at that point? You know what I'm saying? Like that's really what I'm saying. Like, and what is the value of the linebacker position when you already have Jack Campbell and Alex Anzalone? What is Dre Greenlaw going to come in and play? Because none of these guys are playing the same. So if I get Dre Greenlaw, who's not playing? Is Jack Campbell not going to play? Is Alex Anzalone not going to play? Like, what is his position going to be on the Detroit Lions? And then that's kind of where I'm going with this. So now I'm putting somebody for $10 million on the books. I got a young rookie like Jack Campbell. I love what Alex Anzalone is doing, and we talk about how he gets us into our stuff. He's a guy that's just like he's a captain and he's special for a reason. Like, what are we gonna do? Like, what a guy like Dre Greenlaw? I'd rather spend that money and just say, listen, Mr. Sweat, I know that you want to go back to the Philadelphia Eagles and you're willing to take a pay cut, but do you want to have your family set for life, or do you just want to have them set for now? Right? Because we're going to offer you a little bit more monies than those Eagles are going to offer you. And we plan on competing for the Super Bowl as well. I know they got a good team too, but you played a major role in that Super Bowl. I don't know if you remember all those things that you were doing out there, all those pressures, all those sacks that you were getting. Listen, you come out here and do that for Detroit, We got a guy by the name of Aiden Hutchinson who's going to be doing the same thing on the outside. Aleem McNeil, he's going to be doing the same thing on the inside. And then, whichever DT we decide to go with in a draft, he'll be doing his thing in there, helping out Aleem McNeil. Until then, it'll probably be DJ Reader. So I don't know, man. Maybe Levi Onwuzurike down in there doing his thing. Who knows? I think that I would rather that than, or there's other edges out there too. So maybe it's Khalil Mack for a season, like you said. Who knows? Maybe Zadarius has to get some reps in there too. But I think we develop a rotation either way it goes.
Here's where I think Brad Holmes messed up. All right, when he gave that Marcus Davenport contract, we jumped on here, did an episode about it, and both of us said, dude's not going to play 17 games. Everyone knew it. You knew it. I knew it. My mom knew it. My wife knew it. Emily knew it. Everyone knew Marcus Davenport's not seeing a full season. With Dre Greenlaw, you give him $10 million, I think there's at least a 90% chance he plays the whole season. He got hurt on a freak accident, non-contact, going from the sideline to the field, popped his Achilles, freak accident. I'm not going to hold that against him. Marcus Davenport has a history of injuries, and he got a $10 million deal. So that is my measuring stick for at least the next couple seasons, where we paid Marcus Davenport with questions and got zero production. He literally played one game for the Detroit Lions. And I thought he looked good in that one game against the Rams with Aiden Hutchinson on the other side. He went down against Arizona. It was a dirty play, but he's hurt on the shelf for the next, 15, 16 weeks. So $10 million, I think he robbed the Lions because that was a hell of a deal for him. So if I can get a speed linebacker who can fly around the football field and just wreak havoc and cause some matchup problems for some of these mobile quarterbacks, Dre Greenlaw would be a hell of a fit for the Detroit Lions.
I get it. Like I said, I just don't know where he plays, who you're taking off the field. But when I look at these edges, man, if it's not Sweat, you got Hassan Reddick out there, you got Khalil Mack, you got Josh Sweat. DeMarcus Lawrence, is that a guy that interests you? He was having a year before he got injured too.
Who? I was reading a comment when you.
DeMarcus Lawrence from the Cowboys. He's a free agent.
I'm for it for a short-term deal. Off the top of my head, I believe he's an older.
Yeah, he's older.
Yeah,
he's in his 30s, I believe. Let me double check down though. 32 years old.
I'd do it. I don't know where I would rank him in my free agent wish list right now, but if Josh Sweat goes, DeMarcus Lawrence, a true defensive end, I'd probably be okay with that. How would you feel?
He's a guy, man. He would be a guy that I would take on a 2-year deal. Let him play till he's 34. Give him a little bit of extra money. But he's another guy, man, that I think that bolsters this thing. And he's also a guy, man, that I think can do a lot of things. He doesn't just have to play in one position. You can bounce him around. I just like that positional versatility. You know how I am, man. I don't like getting told what to do. I want to be able to play guys how I want to play them. So.
You got anything else for today?
No, man, I think that pretty much covers it, man. I'm glad we could jump on here and get live for a minute, man. It's something that we mentioned that we want to do a little bit more, especially because we know, guys, that a lot of the times that we don't get a chance to banter about some of the stuff that we do on the show too. So when we get on here live, man, if it shows that we've done previously or things that you want to banter about, fire it off in there so we can get after it.
Yeah, I wish we could do live shows like every other day. It's just not realistic with work schedules, personal lives. Like it's hard. And then some days our work schedules are completely opposite. You might have something going on in the morning and I'm busy at night. So it's hard to really find a time to do consistent live shows. I wish we could just say, hey, every Tuesday and Thursday, we're going to go live from noon to 1. It's not possible. I love it. I would rather do it. I'm looking at the clock and I was like, dang, we've been live for an hour, just sitting here talking Lions football. Time flies. But I don't know. We might have an episode out tonight. We'll see if we got some time. Stick around. Hit that like button. We'll be back later with another show.
Peace.